At the beginning of the story, we catch a glimpse of a woman, while a man named Chris sits in a cafe waiting for 9:08. As the clock strikes, he turns towards the door, only to be disappointed when no one enters. He gets up and leaves. Next, we see Chris in Las Vegas, performing a magic show where he appears to know things before they happen. To demonstrate this, he invites a woman from the audience on stage and predicts that her necklace is going to fall, just moments before it actually does. Meanwhile, a man and a woman sitting in the crowd are keeping a close watch on Chris. In reality, Chris doesn't earn much from his magic shows. That's why he often uses his abilities in casinos. However, Chris doesn't have the power to see the full future. He can only see what's going to happen within the next 1 or 2 minutes, and only if it's related to him. While gambling at a casino, the staff begins to grow suspicious of him. At that moment, Chris looks toward the security camera, as if he can hear everything they're saying. Just as they send someone named Sick D towards him, Chris gets up and heads to the cashier. There, he notices a man who is about to rob the counter at gunpoint. When a police officer tries to stop him, the robber fires his weapon. But all this hasn't actually happened yet. Chris has seen it in the near future. So, as soon as the man approaches the counter, Chris subdues him before he can even pull out the gun. When the nearby police officers see this and command Chris to put down his weapon, he uses his special abilities to evade them and dashes through the casino, effortlessly dodging all the officers. Soon, he escapes the casino and jumps into a car. A police chase follows. While fleeing, Chris's car appears to collide with a train. But in reality, Chris had seen this part of the future already and speeds up at the right moment to escape both the train and the pursuing police cars safely. Meanwhile, in the casino, an FBI agent named Callie is reviewing the security footage of Chris. When she tells her colleague about it, the colleague brushes her off, saying there's no time for such nonsense because a 10-kiloton Russian nuclear bomb has gone missing, and all agents have been assigned to find it. However, Callie believes that Chris can help them with the mission. As a result, she's given 5 days to locate and bring him in. Following her orders, Callie begins questioning the head of security at the casino. Meanwhile, Chris arrives at a garage where he gives an elderly man $200. The man thanks him, and they talk for a bit. The old man advises Chris to forget about the woman he's been waiting for, but Chris insists that he has already seen her arriving at the cafe at exactly 9:08. He's determined to meet her. At that moment, Chris sees a vision of Callie coming to meet him. The old man urges him to leave quickly, but Chris chooses to stay and listen to what Callie has to say. When Callie arrives at the garage, she tells Chris everything about the missing nuclear bomb and asks for his help. But when Chris refuses, she calls in officers to arrest him for stealing a car. However, none of this has actually happened yet. Seeing in advance what Callie is planning, Chris quickly escapes from the garage. Meanwhile, the man and woman who were following Chris earlier interrogate and eventually kill the casino's head of security to gather more information about him. The next day, Chris returns to the same cafe, once again waiting for 9:08. This time, when he turns toward the door, the woman actually walks in. She goes and sits at a table nearby. Chris wants to talk to her, so he considers several approaches. But every time he tries something, she ignores him. On the 4th attempt, she even stops him before he can stand up, telling him to just give up. However, all of this is happening in Chris's visions of the future. Then, a man named Candel arrives and addresses the woman as Liz. It's clear from their interaction that things aren't going well between them, and soon, Candel begins to physically harass her. When Chris steps in to help Liz, Candel tries to hit him too. Chris dodges easily, but Liz still walks away quietly. Again, Chris had seen this happen in the future, which is why he lets Candel's punch land on his face this time. Seeing this, Liz immediately stands up, yells at Candel to leave, and then helps Chris up, apologizing to him. During their conversation, Chris tells her that he was supposed to be in a place called Flagstaff at that very moment, but unfortunately, his car got stolen. Hearing this, Liz offers him a ride, as she's headed that way too. After they leave together, Callie and her partner arrive at the cafe to question people. They learn that Chris had been showing up at exactly 9:08 twice a day, and that today, after meeting the woman, he stayed in the cafe for a long time. A waitress then tells Callie where the two were headed. We then see the same man who had killed the casino's security head. He is now unloading the nuclear weapon with a gang. A man in a coat tells him that they must eliminate Chris immediately, as the FBI has shown great interest in him. Meanwhile, Chris and Liz arrive at a small settlement where Liz teaches children every week. During the visit, Chris also entertains the kids with various magic tricks. That night, while driving back, Liz falls asleep on Chris's shoulder. Since the road ahead is in poor condition, they decide to stop at a hotel for the night. However, there's only one bed in the room, so Chris chooses to sleep in the car instead. Back at the FBI, they discover that Chris and Liz are staying at that hotel. They also receive intel that the nuclear bomb has now entered the country. Realizing the urgency, Callie puts all her effort into capturing Chris so he can help them. Meanwhile, the gang that's handling the bomb is keeping a close eye on the FBI, hoping to follow them and reach Chris before they do. Meanwhile, at the hotel, as soon as Liz came out after taking a shower, Chris complimented her beauty and gave her a rose. After that, the two of them grew very close to each other. On the other side, while traveling, Callie received a call from her office, informing her that someone was following them. Back at the hotel, while Liz was sleeping beside Chris, he suddenly woke up as he sensed some future events. That very morning, when Liz stepped outside the hotel, Callie stopped her and took her into her car. She then showed Liz the video of Chris from the casino and explained everything to her. After showing the video, she asked Liz to mix a drug into Chris's drink that would make him fall asleep within 5 minutes. But she was told to mix the pill exactly 2 minutes after Chris left the room. When Liz returned to the hotel, she sent Chris to the bathroom to take a shower. Meanwhile, some gang members were waiting outside for Chris to come out so they could shoot him. 2 minutes later, Liz did mix the pill into his drink. But just as Chris was about to drink it, Liz stopped him and revealed the whole truth. Chris then swapped the drink and walked outside. The gang members couldn't get a clear shot, and the FBI assumed Chris would fall asleep within 5 minutes. When Chris returned inside, he confessed everything about his abilities to Liz. However, Liz thought he might be delusional or crazy. To prove himself, Chris turned on the TV and predicted the upcoming news before it aired. He also told Liz that although he can't see far into the future, he can see events up to 2 minutes ahead. But strangely, he had seen his meeting with her days in advance. Liz was shocked, but still couldn't understand why the FBI was after him. Chris explained that it was a matter of national security. He loved his country too, but he didn't understand how he could help with just the ability to see 2 minutes ahead. Then Chris gave her $100 and told her to follow the exact instructions written on a piece of paper after 45 seconds. Meanwhile, Callie was starting to get suspicious. Just then, she noticed Chris walking toward them, completely fine. At that moment, Chris looked at his watch and jumped into the ravine. All the FBI agents ran after him. The gang members also tried to shoot him, but he easily dodged all the bullets. According to the plan, Liz started her car, drove it toward the ravine, and launched it over the edge along with a lot of heavy items. This forced the FBI agents to hide behind rocks, and Chris took this opportunity to escape. Suddenly, Callie blocked his path, but Chris saved her from falling debris coming from above. Meanwhile, the gang members took advantage of the situation and kidnapped Liz. Because of the responsibility of millions of lives, Callie didn't let Chris go. Instead, she had him tied to a chair and showed him news footage, asking him to use his full abilities to locate the bomb. But instead of the bomb, Chris saw Liz, who was tied to a wheelchair and held captive by the gang. The bomb was about to go off very soon. Chris was terrified, but when Callie asked him about it, he stayed quiet. He knew that if he told the truth, they would keep him tied to that chair forever. Chris was then locked in a room. When he got the chance, he attacked the guards and escaped, just like he had done at the casino. The FBI started chasing him through the streets. Chris ran toward the roof of a multi-level garage. Callie, leaving the other agents behind, followed him alone. When she found him standing at the edge of the roof, she asked him what he saw. Chris told her that in the next 2 hours, the gang was going to kill Liz right there. But Callie warned him it could also be a trap to use Liz to kill him. Chris already knew that, and both of them decided to work together to handle it. Chris confidently walked onto the rooftop, and at that moment, gang members hiding nearby opened fire. Chris pretended to be dead, and the FBI agents eliminated the shooter. Callie realized they still couldn't save Liz this way, so she told Chris to focus harder. When he did, he saw the license plate number of a white van in which Liz was being transported. The FBI quickly tracked that van to a harbor and made a plan with Chris. We then see gang members putting Liz into the van, preparing to leave. Just then, the FBI arrived. To escape, the gang drove the van in reverse, but at the perfect moment, Chris told Callie to shoot. The shot flipped the van, and Liz ran out and entered a building. With Chris's help, the FBI agents took out all the snipers and moved forward. But the gang recaptured Liz and took her as a human shield onto a cargo ship. Inside the ship, they had planted a bomb using lasers. As the FBI entered, Chris sensed it immediately and warned everyone. While advancing, Chris got shot, but since he had already seen it in the future, he had warned the FBI about the sniper in advance. Then Chris began scanning the future in different ways to find Liz. Once he figured out where she and the kidnappers were, he reached there with the FBI. Liz was still with the gang, but Chris, using his powers, dodged every bullet and reached her. When the gang leader ran out of bullets and tried to trigger the bomb, Callie shot him just in time, saving everyone. After that, Chris tried to calm Liz down, but Callie reminded him of the nuclear bomb, which had now been moved to another location. To help Chris locate it, they showed him a screen. As he focused on it, he sensed something unusual and immediately told everyone to get down. Just then, a massive explosion occurred. In reality, Chris had seen all of this while lying in bed with Liz. Afterward, he told Callie that he would help them fully, but on one condition: Liz should stay out of all this. Callie agreed. Chris then told Liz he had to step out for something and left with Callie to find the bomb. If you liked the video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.